Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. We are back in the Psychology of Eating podcast. I'm here today with Rhonda. Welcome, Rhonda.
Thank you, Marc.
So, Rhonda, the idea is this is like a one-time client session where we get to, have a conversation together and hopefully move you in the direction of where you want to go. So if you could wave your magic wand, you got a magic wand, you can wave it and get whatever you wanted with food and body, what would that be for you?
If I could wave my magic wand, I would eat healthy, improve my A1C, and lose about 100 pounds.
Okay. So should I assume then that these days you're not eating as healthy as you wish you were?
That is true. I'm improving. I'm working on my A1C, and I'll be honest with you, my A1C, I'm a type 2 diabetic. So my blood sugar level is my most important number. That's more important than my weight right now.
Got it. And when were you diagnosed? Did you say a type 2 diabetic?
Yes. I was diagnosed about 9 years ago.
Uh-huh. And how have you been treated for that?
Medication, insulin, and working with a dietitian on a regular basis, trying to get that under control. But I'll be honest, I stopped smoking in 2018. And at that point, my eating just went crazy out of control. Really?
So why does that happen to so many people? If I haven't heard that story 500 times, really, people who stop smoking and start eating at a whole different pace. So when did you notice for yourself that weight started coming on?
I was in my late 20s. So it's been a very gradual thing over the course of about 30 years. Mm-hmm. I didn't just gain it all quickly. It's been a few pounds, 5, 10, 15 pounds a year over a long period of time.
Mm-hmm. So it's crept up on you over the years, but mm-hmm. You mentioned that about 4 years ago, it sounds like when you stopped smoking, the eating for you got worse. And how would you describe that? When you say it got out of control, what does that mean for you?
I am a binge eater. Mm-hmm. I eat for almost any reason at all. I'm a stress eater. I eat when I'm overwhelmed. I eat when I'm bored. I eat when I'm lonely. And sometimes I don't know why I eat.
Yeah, that's very honest. Thank you. So how long have you noticed that aspect of yourself? That, gosh, I eat when I'm stressed. I eat when I'm anxious. I eat when I'm lonely. When do you think that started for you? How old were you?
Probably a teenager.
Yeah.
And I'll also add that I've struggled with a major depressive disorder pretty much my entire adult life as well. Mm-hmm. And I've been in therapy for that very seriously the last 10 to 15 years, but it's only in the last 2 years that I've realized I have to talk about the eating or I'm not going to make progress with anything.
Yes. Well, good for you. Are you married?
No, I'm not. No kids.
Uh-huh. And are you close with your family?
I am close with my family. Unfortunately, not geographically, mm-hmm. but very close to my dad and my stepmother and my sister. my nephew, and I unfortunately lost my mother in 2016, which has also been something to struggle with.
Mm-hmm. How was your relationship with your mama growing up?
I think the best way to describe it would be contentious. Mm-hmm. Two very strong-willed women in the same house, batting heads. I'm not proud of it, but I was just as likely to do something because she said, don't do it. Which I don't think that's all that unusual, but I grew up and miraculously, my mom got smarter as I grew up. Mm-hmm. And I realized, honestly, nobody knew me better than she did. She'd mm-hmm. been watching me my whole life. She mm-hmm. knew a few things.
Yes.
So once again, about my mid-20s, I started paying attention to what she had to say.
And are you working these days?
I am. Yes. I'm a manager of a call center.
Mm-hmm. Do you work from home?
I do now. Yeah.
Like a lot.
Like so many people, 2020 changed everything.
Yes, it really did. So, are you on an antidepressant?
Yes, I'm on 3.
Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that it's helped any?
It keeps a lot of depressive symptoms at bay. Mm-hmm. Keeps me living what I would consider a relatively normal life, and keeps me out of crisis. But there's got to be more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's got to be more. And I feel like if I don't learn how to get out of my own way, I'm never going to live the life that I want to live.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think the depression's there?
I think there's a strong genetic component. Mm-hmm. It's something that I've seen in several generations in my family. And, well, I would say that I had a lack of coping mechanisms, but the truth is I've had one very successful coping mechanism, which has been food.
Yes. So when you say, okay, I've had a lack of coping mechanisms, I understand that. And food is sort of the major coping mechanism, and it's successful in its own way.
The consequences, though, are
challenging for sure. I get that.
Yeah.
What do you think it is that for you, you mentioned I turn to food when I get anxious. I turn to food when I get stressed, different emotions, loneliness. It could be anything. It could be you don't even know why. Mm-hmm. When did you notice the turning to food began for you?
Really, in terms of binging, probably my mid-20s. Mm-hmm. And I'm not married currently, but I married very young. I was in the Army when I graduated from high school. Mm-hmm. I married when I was 19. It wasn't a good marriage for me. Mm-hmm. I think we grow up with an idea of not wanting to be alone But sometimes people don't bring out the best in us. Sometimes they bring out the worst in us.
Yes.
And I was really unhappy with what I was like. And I turned to food as a way of dealing with that.
Mm-hmm. How long did you stay married for?
About 3 years.
Mm-hmm. If you could sum up your experience in the Army in 5 words or less, what would you say?
I learned to shut up. Yeah. I was always somebody who was going to express myself, and I learned that silence is sometimes your best strategy.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to just bounce around here. There's a method to my madness. I just want to let you know I'm just gathering up information so I can better understand you. So what would you say if you were on your deathbed today and you were looking at a big regret in life, or one of your biggest or the biggest? Forget about weight for a moment. Let's say you conquer the weight challenge, you're eating healthy, you're at the weight you want to be, but you're on your deathbed. So the weight piece got worked out, the food piece got worked out. Other than those, what would you say your biggest regret would be if you could go back and live your life over? What would you have done different?
I would have gone to college to major in theater. Mm-hmm. And I would have done my best to become a professional character actress.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do differently.
Yeah. You're an expressive person. It sounds like. It just sounds like in your DNA, you have just the need to express yourself. It's kind of sounds like it comes natural to you.
It does. I think of myself as a storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's who I am. I think that's what I am. And whether that story is, I love to read. I love all media. And my greatest joy is a good story.
Yeah.
And I always loved about theater is being able to bring a story to life and share that with other people, with an audience, so that it's not something that you're just experiencing alone. It becomes interactive at that point.
Yes. So you mentioned earlier on in the conversation, wanting to live the life that you came here to live.
Yeah.
Let's say you lost the weight. You're exactly where you want to be with food and weight. What's the life that you want to live look like between now and the time you die?
I want to be active. I want to be able to move more freely than I'm able to at the weight I'm at. I'd like to travel, go kayaking, learn to scuba dive. I'd like to become an actress. There's still no reason that that's not something that I can't do.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to find a fulfilling romantic relationship, whether I remarry or not is kind of immaterial to me, but I'd like to find a loving companion.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that those things that you just mentioned, yeah, maybe, gosh, I can become an actress. I can travel. I can do cool things like scuba dive. I can be in a great relationship. Do you think those things, are they in your mind dependent on you losing weight?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though I recognize that that doesn't have to be true,
Mm-hmm.
it feels true.
Yes. Thank you for being honest about that. It's a tough one for human beings because the way we are conditioned, the way we're taught, the way we learn, I can especially speak for Americans, is that, you look a certain way and you win. You look a certain way, you weigh a certain amount, and then things open up for you. The world opens up for you, and you can be the person you want to be because you got this body that can just fly through space and do all these things. And that's just what it looks like on the TV and the commercials and the movies and any place else you pay your attention to. So we're very much conditioned to believe that that's the way it is. As I'm listening to you share some of your story, for me, all human beings, we turn to food as a coping mechanism from a very young age. Stated in the positive, food helps regulate our emotions. If you're a tiny, screaming little infant, and all of a sudden mama gives you bottle or breast, within seconds, you're happy. You're cool. You're okay. You're feeling loved. You're feeling nourished. You're feeling held. You're feeling touched. And you got food in your mouth and it tastes really good. So food is the original feel-good drug. And in a strange way, what I want to say is there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually natural. And what you pointed out before is so true. It becomes problematic at a certain place. But at its essence, we're eaters. And food is designed to be a pleasurable experience. If food wasn't pleasurable, you wouldn't eat and you would die. So that which helps life continue, food, eating, sex, reproduce the species, that which makes life continue, the way we're designed, it feels good to do those things because then we'll want to do them.
Yeah.
So to me, it's all I want to say on the one hand is it makes perfect sense that when we don't learn as we get older and older, when we don't learn how to deal with our emotions, I'm lonely, I'm bored, I'm stressed, I'm confused, I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling disappointed, I'm feeling afraid, we turn to food. Feel bad, eat food, feel better. So that's the habit that we get into. And for some of us, we gain 5 pounds or 20 pounds or 30 pounds. For some, we gain more. But it's really the same principle for all of us, for all human beings. Same principle. We're going to naturally turn to food to regulate our emotions because it does that. And we have a genetic memory of that. Emotional eating is going to a holiday dinner with your family. You're happy. Emotional eating is having a birthday party and having a cake and a drink. It's fun. That's emotional. Emotional eating is, I'm by myself. I feel lonely. I'm going to eat something and watch TV because that makes me feel good. So to me, as I'm hearing it, you're in a place in your life where you need to learn other strategies to regulate your emotions other than food.
I'd say that's very accurate.
And thing is, we get into habits. we get into a habit and the habit does itself. The habit repeats itself. The habit becomes automatic. People who chain smoke, they just chain smoke.
Mm.
And eating to regulate our emotions is literally, you don't have to think to do it. You said to me, I sometimes I eat and I don't even know why I'm eating. Yes, that's correct. Because eating has become an unconscious habit for so many people. For you, it might feel more poignant because it shows on your body. But the reality is that it's this ingrained, unconscious, automatic, repetitive habit. It just repeats itself. You don't have to wake up in the morning and think today, I'm going to unconsciously turn to food to regulate my emotions. It's just going to do itself. So my point is here, in order for us to change that habit, we have to learn how to introduce consciousness. You want to change an unconscious habit, you have to introduce consciousness. And that's a piece of hard work. Not easy work. If it was easy work, you would have done it. 100 million people would have done it.
Yeah.
So I want to acknowledge that that's hard work, but I also want to acknowledge that is a huge piece of the work for you. It's starting to learn. I would love for you to create a list for yourself, like an inventory, everything you could think of that makes you feel relaxed and nourished and just a little bit more at peace. Persons, places, things, experiences, thoughts, music, videos you can watch on the computer, anything that helps you feel more at home, nourished, a little bit of pleasure, more relaxed, more calm. And that inventory list is going to become your menu that you look at every day. And when there's a moment that you're going to eat, I would stop and ask myself, oh, is this what I want to be doing right now? I'm eating. That's introducing consciousness, because what's going to normally happen is it's automatic. You're going to feel lonely, you want to eat. You're going to feel anxious, you're going to want to eat. As soon as any emotion comes up, your body and brain have become habituated to using food as a medication. And that can be turned around. But in order to do that, you're going to have to keep waking up in the moment, just bringing the light in each moment that you're eating, and ask yourself, is this what I want to do in this moment right now? What else would serve me other than food in this moment? And if there's beautiful music that relaxes you, I want you to play. I want you to put on the headphones and play beautiful music. And it becomes a practice. You're not going to be perfect at this. This is going to take a year or two to really start to ingrain a new habit. It took you a lifetime to get to this place where you have this long-term habit.
Right.
So it takes a little time to unwind it. We like the quick fixes, but there's not always a quick fix. So part of what's happening also is you're learning, a lot of us are learning, delayed gratification versus instant gratification. A child, a baby, an infant wants instant gratification. I want what I want when I want it. You observe any young child, and they'll be happy to eat ice cream all day. And if you tell them, you can't have ice cream all day because 20 years from now, you're going to start to, it's going to impact your health. You can get diabetes. It can impact your weight. Kids don't want to hear that. They can't hear that. All they know is, this made me feel good. I want it. Because the child's mind isn't wise enough. It hasn't developed enough. When you eat, what I want to suggest is that you become a certain age. When you're at your job, you become a certain age. How old are you in actual age?
I'll be 54 in about a month.
Okay. Happy almost birthday. So
Thank you.
I'm going to guess that when you're at your job and you're doing your thing, you're a 53, 54-year-old woman. You're on it.
Yeah.
You're responsible. You know what you're supposed to do. You know what you're not supposed to do. You see things, you address things, and you're in your adult. You're in your queen. You're in your royalty. When you eat, I don't know, you're probably 5, 6, 7 years old would be my guess. And by the way, none of this is an insult. I say this to people all the time because it's what we do. Many of us eat, there's a personality in us that's doing the eating. It's one of our personalities. You're an actress in your heart, so you know that we can invoke different personas. And oftentimes, different personas come through us. So you're just not one person. You have a lot of different personalities. You're probably a certain person when you're talking to your dad. When you're talking to your dad, you're in your daughter personality.
Right.
When you're talking to your friend, you're in a friend personality. When you're talking to somebody who works for you, you're in your boss personality. When you're talking to somebody who's above you in the food chain at work, then you're in your, I'm an employee personality. When you get angry, you're in your, I'm angry and I'm going to do something about it personally. So a lot of personalities in there. Point being, I think the personality for you when you eat is very, very young, and it wants instant gratification in that moment. And it's like a little girl eating. She's feeling upset and she just wants to eat because there's no consequences because you're a kid. Kids are not worried about mortality. Kids are not worried about dis-ease. So if you and I were working long term, what I would be working with you on is to get to know that voice in you more and more, that little girl, little Rhonda, who's doing the eating. Because she's probably scared and she doesn't like pain. She does not like discomfort.
No, she doesn't.
Not for a second. And so it's hard for you to delay gratification. You want instant gratification. I'm not feeling good about myself. I'm not feeling good about life. I'm not feeling a good emotion. I'm going to eat something. And the moment I eat it, it makes me feel better.
The whole thing ends up being counterintuitive, though, because you feel better in the moment.
Yes.
And then the self-recrimination, the guilt, the questioning, why did I do that? That's when that all starts and
Yes.
You feel bad again.
Yes. So I'm going to tell you why you do that. And I've told you, but I'm going to say it again. So anytime you ask that question, you got an answer. Because what happens is normally you ask the question, why did I do that? I know I didn't want to eat when I shouldn't be eating. I know what I'm supposed to do. I just can't do it. What happened? I'm telling you what happens. What happens is there's another voice in you, another personality that takes over in the moment. And it just takes your adult self and kicks it out of the chair. And that little kid sits at the head of the table and it's running the show. And that little kid could care less about how much we eat, when we eat, what we eat. It just wants to eat because it feels good. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's not a mystery. It's what happens is when we keep asking the question, oh, why did I do that? We're really not looking for an answer in that moment. We're just in the moment of just upset. Like, I didn't want to do that. And yeah, we're searching for an answer. So you have an answer now for why. Then it becomes, what's your practice? Your practice is beginning to invite the adult in you to inhabit your body, to take over your body whenever you put food in your mouth. Whenever you eat, You ask adult questions. Am I really hungry? Is food going to best serve me right now? Those are adult questions. Now, of course, the kid is you're going to say, yeah, of course, this is what you want.
Yeah.
And so it's your job, it's your responsibility to adult yourself now. You got to be your own best parent. You got to be your best mother. You're the one that has to speak to that young voice in you, help self-soothe her. Hey, honey, I love you. And you know something, we're not going to eat right now. And what does a kid do when, give them what they want? They scream, they cry. They moan, they groan, they complain until you either give them what they want or they finally get exhausted by demanding it and you don't give it to them. So it's introducing consciousness into a place where you're going to sleep. Oftentimes, when you eat, you will tend to step out, you meaning the woman in you, the queen in you, the adult in you, she steps out, child steps in. And that child in you wants what she wants when she wants it. So this is you learning to harness your inner world. To me, it's going to be difficult for you to eat healthy all the time. I know your brain knows that I should be eating healthy. But when the child takes over, the child doesn't care about that. So in the moments when you're alone and you're at home, that's when you have to be vigilant with yourself. Yeah. And vigilant means loving. This isn't nobody's getting punished. The little girl in you is going to rebel. Like, hey, don't tell me what to do. You've already expressed to me that you've got that voice in you. You have that rebellious voice. You butted heads. You're a strong-willed person. That's a great thing. That's a great attribute to be a strong-willed human being. And that attribute can also work against us because we become stubborn when it comes to our own self. Like, nobody tells me what to do, not even me.
That's very true.
So it's learning to harness your stubborn nature, your headstrong nature, so it works for you. Meaning, use your headstrong nature in places where it serves you. When it comes to food, your headstrong nature becomes a 5-year-old. And it's just going, no, I'm going to do what I want to do.
I've never thought of it in that terms of needing to, as you say, adult, parent that child inside of me. Mm-hmm. And maybe to a certain extent because I haven't been a parent.
Yes. But you know good parenting when you see it.
I do. And a lot of it is consistency.
Yes. It is consistency. It's being consistent in your message. It's being consistent in your presence. A good parent is always present. She is aware. They're there. They're present. They're scanning. They're watching. They're noticing. So that's why every time you eat, I want you to ask the question, am I really hungry? Is food what would best serve me in this moment? And if not, what else can I do? And you refer to your list that you write down of everything, persons, places, thoughts, feelings, experiences, anything that helps you feel more relaxed, more at peace, more centered, more nourished. And you start practicing other strategies in the moment. If you have one success in a day, that's huge. Success looks like once. Success
Once a day.
Success could look like, and I kid you not, Rhonda, once a week. Got to start somewhere. The old Taoist saying, the journey of 10,000 miles begins with one step.
One step.
So are you a religious lady?
Not very.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe that there's a life that you came here to live?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that it's ultimately my choice.
Mm-hmm. So along with the strategy of understanding that the child in you is doing the eating, the adult in you does the work. The adult in you does her job. The adult in you, I'm going to guess, cleans the house, pays the bills, does all the responsibilities. That adult in you, I get it. She's very present. That adult in you checks out when you eat. She's gone. Child takes over. So we're not looking to fight that child in you. We're looking to love on her. And sometimes love looks like a little tough love. Sometimes love is like, no.
Yeah.
We're going to do something different. So you're invoking that part of you when you eat. And it's going to be hard. You're going to resist it. Resist it is not going to feel good. But I'm saying to you, this is a huge part of your road to freedom. If this was reality TV and I could win $10 million to help you lose all the weight you wanted to lose, this is the number one thing I would do with you, in conjunction with the next thing I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
The other piece of work that I would look to do with you is, and we started chatting about this, I asked you, if you, let's say you lost all the weight, what's the life that you want to live? And you mentioned, just a very expansive life. You mentioned travel. You mentioned exploration. You mentioned things that have you being in your body, like scuba diving. And you mentioned significant loving relationship. And we also talked about a little bit, I asked you the question, are those things in your mind dependent on you losing weight? And you said, well, technically I know it's not, but it feels that way. So the other place I would work on is to have you slowly, in baby steps, begin to create the life that you want to live now with the body you have right now. It doesn't mean that the body you have right now is the forever body you're going to have. But all the things you mentioned to me, in my experience, are not dependent on weight. Yeah, you're going to move faster and run faster if there's less pounds on your body. Sure, I get that. But that's not what you ultimately want. What you ultimately want is love, and you ultimately want a life that just feels expansive, where you're being yourself. And gosh, I want to self-express. I want to be an actress.
Yeah.
You could take an acting course. You can get a part in a local play. You can begin that journey now as an actress. You can start to pay attention to attracting a partner into your life now. There are humans of all kinds partnered up with humans of all kinds. And you saying to yourself, I'm not officially lovable until I lose weight. I'm not marriageable. I'm not lovable. I'm not acceptable until I lose weight. If your friend said that to you, you'd be horrified. If your best friend said that to you, I'm not going to be your friend anymore until you lose weight. I'm sure the people that love you, I'm sure your dad's not looking at you and saying, you know something, until you lose weight, I'm not going to love you. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to pay attention to you. It's like, no, the people that love us love us. So if anybody writes you off of their list because of your weight, then bye-bye. Say goodbye to them. You don't want them on your list. They're not for you. Anybody writes you off because you're a woman, because you're white, because you're from wherever you're from, it doesn't matter. Somebody's going to have a judgment about you. You're not interested in that. But I'm interested in you starting to create the life that you want to live now and not wait for weight loss. I have a formula that I want to share with you. And,
okay.
and it goes like this. Personal power equals metabolic power. Personal power equals metabolic power. What that means is personal power. When you and I become the person we're meant to be, you're meant to be a person. You are meant to be an expressive woman. You're meant to express yourself. You're meant to be creative. That's who you are. You've said it. I believe you. I can feel it. I can see it. You're meant to be a person who's in loving relationships. We all are, as far as I can tell. You're a person who came here to be a little more adventurous. Say what's on her mind. So as we become the person we're meant to be, personal power, that's equal to metabolic power. Our body now has more of the possibility to become what it's meant to be. See, we always say to ourselves, I can only become the person I want to be if I have the body that I think I should have. So unless I have the right body, then I can't be the real me. And all I'm saying is, No. I'm saying that's a falsehood. I'm saying that belief has bad mojo in it.
I don't think I realized until you said it the way you did, just how cruel a thing that is to do to yourself.
Yes. And how cruel that is for the world to give us that message, because you didn't invent that message. You personally did not invent that message. We absorb it from the world. It comes through the media. We start learning it when we're very young. But yeah, it's a cruel message to say to ourselves, to say, you can't be the person that you want to be. You can't be lovable. You can't express yourself until you lose some arbitrary amount of weight. How do we know what the cutoff point is? What if you lose 60 pounds? Is that good enough? 70, 80? What if you only lose 90? By the way, I work with people, particularly women, who 10 pounds are holding them back. Literally, I'm in the same conversation with them that I'm in with you, where they believe I can't be the person I want to be until I lose 10 pounds from here, this part of my body. I kid you not. It's crazy, right? Because you would be happy to have their problem, but the problem, it's
up here.
Yes. And the number almost doesn't matter. I've worked with people, men and women, who have the perfect body and the perfect weight, and they are not in a good way. It's other things that are getting to them. So I want to see you stop waiting for weight loss to happen so you could be the real Rhonda. I would love for you to write down a list of, here's everything I want to do between now and the time I die. Here's who I want to be. And you look at that list of the things you want to do and the things you want to be and the experiences you want to have, and you start working towards them now, and you start taking practical steps. Acting. So many ways you can start to get involved in that.
Yeah.
Travel. You could do it. The body you're in, it can travel. Body you're in can get in the water. The body you're in, it's as you become the person you're meant to be, personal power, your body has the best chance to be what it's meant to be. So as you become the person that you're meant to be, it's going to be easier for you to shapeshift your body. Because so much of the emotional eating that we do is tied into, we're not expressing who we are. We're not being the person that we came here to be. You know, we're always trying to frame it as, oh, well, you're turning to food because, you know, there's something wrong with you. No, there's nothing wrong with us. It's not easy being a human being. It's just not easy. Not easy being a human being. Food is a great medicine in the moment. It's a great emotional medicine. But the best medicine for our system that will help you not need food is to have the life that you want to have. Because as you start to have the life that you want to have, food becomes less important in the moment.
Yeah.
When you're engaged, when you're in action, when you're doing things that you want to be doing, there's moments that you're not thinking of food. Because you're locked in to being you in the moment. When you're so the more you lock into who's the real me, who's the real Rhonda. The real Rhonda needs to be expressive. Okay, how do we do that? Because the more you can self-express in the ways that you naturally want to do that, the less you need to eat. The less you're going to need to turn to food to soothe unwanted emotions, because so many of our unwanted emotions, they're just talking to us. They're just letting us know, hey, something's not quite right. So with depression, one of, I think, the very underrated cures for depression, or the underrated medicines for depression, is to get focused on the life that we want to live and start moving in that direction. Part of it is also you making a choice that you want to be here. I mean, here in the biggest picture.
I've had to make that choice a couple of times.
Yeah. Sometimes we got to make that choice over and over and over again. I get reminded of it every day in a strange way. When I talk to my son, when I talk to the people that I love, I remember sometimes like, wow, you know, I lost my grandparents. I lost my parents when they were not that old, and life is precious and it could be short. So I need to make sure that I'm choosing to live every day. And I'm not just getting lost in my nonsense. I'm not getting lost in my self-rejection and my self-attack, because that's energy that I can be using to create the life that I want to live. So right now, and for a long time, I'm glad you're getting help. I'm glad you see a dietitian. I'm glad you get help with counseling and such. Love that. I love us having a network of support. But I want you to remember that the purpose of all that is not because you're broken. and is not because it's going to fix you so then you can be the real you. They're here to support you on your journey. They're here to help you along your way. They don't have the power to fix you because you're not broken. Do you want to lose weight? Sure. Do you want to deal with a metabolic condition that you have? Of course. Do you find yourself binge eating? Yeah. Okay. Humans have those challenges. But that doesn't mean you have to wait to be the real you. You could be the real you and have diabetes and have the weight that you have. And you could be the real you at less weight. You can be the real you at any weight. As you become more of the real you, your body starts to become more of the real it, what it's supposed to be. It's just going to follow suit. I'm just saying, don't be waiting for your body to get to this certain place so you can then bust out and say, okay, now I'm ready to get off the sidelines.
You know, I don't know what my expectation of this was, but you've given me a couple of very specific places that I can start and do exactly that.
Yes.
Live my life.
Yes. That's the most important thing right now is you living your life. And damn emotional eating and damn binge eating, yeah, you're going to work on that. But this living your life is working on that. Because binge eating is for many of us, it's a solution to, there's something going on, something, I don't know what it is, but it's not right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good.
Right.
I'm hungry for something. We're ravenous for something. And what you're ravenous for is you and the life that you came here to live. You know who you are. You know how you want to express yourself. You know what you want.
I do.
You do. I know. It's getting in touch with that part of your spirit that is just strong and audacious, just has a lot of audacity. And it's like, I'm going to do this. And this is not, I'm going to lose weight. It's, I'm going to live my life. Losing weight will be a byproduct. It will be a side effect of you living your real life. Your real life is the number one medicine, number one remedy. What I suggest is you try it out, you live your real life, and if it doesn't work, I owe you.
I'm going to do that. And I'm going to start today.
I love it. I love it. You got a lot of fire in you, and that fire just wants to express itself. And at different points along the way of life, we hear this, something happens, and we let that fire just become a tiny little light.
I do have a lot of fire.
Yes.
I do. And I think even with the things I struggle with, I do them to the extreme.
Mm.
I have to thank you for the things you've shared with me today.
You're very welcome. Very, very welcome. I thank you for this conversation and for just being open and being willing to be in this kind of dialogue. And I know what you want in terms of weight loss and in terms of regulating your eating. And sometimes the way we get certain things isn't the way we think we're supposed to get them.
Yeah.
And sometimes we've got to take a different road than we've been taking. So you've tried a lot of things. Now let's just try Rhonda being the real Rhonda. And Rhonda busting out. Anything and anyone that helps you support you being the real you, thumbs up, baby. That's what you want to be doing.
Okay. I'm on a mission.
I'm glad you are.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been good. This is a good thing that you're doing.
I appreciate it. I try to do my best. Rhonda, I really appreciate the conversation and I appreciate you. And I hope we get to have a follow-up conversation.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well,
all right.
You take care. And my friends out there, take care as well. I appreciate you being along for the ride.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.